I'm gonna show you this one simple method that you can literally implement today and it helped me transform from a lazy, unmotivated person who delays work all the time to someone who is addicted to attacking hard work no matter what and actually enjoys getting things done, and it's called dopamine loading. In fact, this method had almost never been talked about. So you are in the right place, because if you watch until the end of the video, I promise you'll master being disciplined, and especially being consistently disciplined, and get all the benefits that come with it. When I sat down with myself and seriously asked about why can't I be disciplined for once, why I can't go to the gym when I plan to, why I can't get better grades, because I really had the drive and the motivation to start and wanted to make a change, but I simply can't. I looked at videos online and tips, but nothing really solved my problem. Until, instead of looking up videos, I looked at myself and thought, is there something that I am doing that is holding me back? That's when I took a look at my daily routine, and that's where something clicks. But first, I'm going to give you an idea of how that routine looked like. Let's say I wake up at 9 a.m. First thing, I would hold my phone and scroll for hours. And after a while, I realized that I just wasted a ton of time without studying or doing something productive. So I go sit down and try to start studying, and after just 5 minutes later, it feels so hard to focus or understand anything. So I quickly stop, and guess what I would do next? I go look for a game to play to forget about how hard studying was. And now, after more than half of the day is done, I really feel bad and force myself to give it a second chance. But once I sit down to start working, I hear a notification from a friend. And just like that, my day is basically done. And here I am wasting time again. Now, to understand why this routine is the actual reason why it is hard to be disciplined, we need to look at what the brain is experiencing during the routine, so we can finally fix this issue. Starting when you wake up, your dopamine level is on a normal state, but once you grab your phone and start scrolling on social media, your dopamine shoots sky high, which is of course not natural. Now, you're having a good time and chilling, but once you decide to start doing something useful, your dopamine level drops drastically low. And now, in this low dopamine state, it's almost impossible for you to lock in. And the reason is simple. When you experience such a high dose of dopamine before going into a low dopamine task, your chances of getting things done are extremely low. Your brain simply compares the two activities, and of course it's gonna crave more dopamine than it just experienced. So forcing it into a low dopamine task is almost impossible. And after that, you quit to answer your brain's cravings and you go look for your favorite game. Then boom, another really high dose of dopamine. Now as time goes on and you decide to be a little responsible and do some work, you're again faced with the same issue. So how you fix it, you may ask? Well, it is pretty straightforward. Since we know the routine is a problem, then we need to change it. So what I did was, instead of waking up and absolutely obliterate my dopamine levels, I would commit to work first thing in the morning. So I would wash my face, brush my teeth, and get to studying. Then maybe I would work out and finish any school work I have. Then literally dedicate all the morning to all the necessary tasks I have to do. Now, after I have lunch, that's when the dopamine loading starts. I open my phone and watch YouTube videos and maybe go play my favorite video games. Sometimes I get some snacks, but with time I incorporated more healthier habits in this part of the day. But you get the trick. Hunger yourself from dopamine and get as much possible done. And then basically reward yourself with fun activities you will enjoy. Now, to understand why this method specifically works and will guarantee you more control over your decisions is because, unlike the first routine where you experience an unnatural high dose of dopamine first thing in the morning, which will set you up for failure when you decide to work, you delay all that dopamine and start working. Like that, all the tasks you would do in the morning are similar in dopamine levels. So there is no subject of comparison for your brain to decide to crave high dosage of dopamine, which will make it hard to focus. But instead, your brain will deal better with low dopamine tasks, which means more productivity and drive to focus and get stuff done. To get a quick idea of how to effectively implement this method into your routine so you can actually stick to it, Instead of working all morning exactly like I did, you can start with an hour of complete focus work, and then you can dopamine load. But that gradual approach should not be your excuse to be lazy and take slow steps. We need to progress each day by adding as much time as possible, and that could be 20 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour. Also, you have to keep in mind that some days you may feel like you could work the whole day, and some days you're going to feel like you can do another minute of work, which is natural. The most important part is to make sure to make as much progress as possible, especially when you don't feel like it. Because that's what's going to give you an advantage when you feel motivated to work and push you to a level you never dreamed of. Now, you may think this method will just help you study better and that's it. But that's wrong, because there are loads of other benefits you might not notice from implementing this method. One of them is increased willpower. When you decide to pursue your hobby, you need willpower. When you want to get better grades, you need willpower. When you want to build an amazing physique, you need willpower. Willpower is obviously vital to a person's life when pursuing anything. So when you become able to hunger yourself from dopamine for a certain period of the day, you basically train your brain on taking hard tasks without falling in the trap of distractions and laziness. Then you can challenge yourself even more with extending the period of no dopamine and master the art of discipline. Also, you can improve the activities you do with the release of the dopamine to a more healthier ones, maybe by focusing on hobbies and passions to benefit also from the dopamine release period. Another benefit to this method, and for me is definitely the most important one, which is overall happiness and fulfillment. Of course, there is a drawback to this ridiculous routine. These jumps and lows of dopamine like that are certainly not natural. Playing with the hormone levels in such way will have drastic effects on your brain, such as low mood, lack of drive, extreme boredom, unfulfillment, and even depression. So taking control over how your dopamine is released will most definitely make you more productive and motivated to always progress further. And also be more appreciative. Most of the time you're not even really having fun scrolling in the morning. You're just using it as a coping mechanism to escape boredom and not face reality and make a change. As you see, there are tons of benefits from this method. So I hope I will see you tomorrow using this method and take advantage of all these benefits I've just listed. Subscribe if you learned something useful, and catch you later.